Hello everyone, it's Matt M and welcome back to my channel. I make clinical laboratory science content videos every single week, and if you are interested in that type of content, then consider subscribing to my channel, ring that bell to get notified, and yeah, let's get started. For this video, I had the idea of sharing all the courses that I took in college. I will focus primarily on the major subjects that we took, and maybe I'll talk a little bit about the minor subjects that I took as well, only if there are some memorable moments that happened in that class. I went to college in the Adventist University of the Philippines. I graduated with a Bachelor in Medical Laboratory Science. I was there from 2014 till 2019. Wow. Saying that out loud makes me feel really old. Just a little bit of medical laboratory science history. Adventist University of the Philippines is the first medical technology school in the whole Philippines. So if you want to be a full-time student in the Adventist University of the Philippines, medical laboratory science is actually 4 years. And in between those 4 years, there would be intersem 1, 2, and 3. Intersemesters are summer class in some universities, but in my university, we call them intersemesters. It will also give you a really hard time because you won't get a lot of summer vacations. I plan on dividing this video into a 4-part series. One, which is this one, I'll be talking about my freshman year in college, and then second, sophomore, third, junior, and then fourth, senior year in college until I pass the board exam, international and local. Let's get started. I will show you the subjects that I took somewhere here or maybe somewhere here. It will be plastered across the screen. So in my university, we are allowed to take 28 units in total to be considered full load. And if your grades are good, then you can actually take until 30 units. But who wants to take that because you're not having a life in college anymore? The first subject that I took is biological science. It's pretty much like high school biology. You learn about like cell functions and photosynthesis and like different systems in the body. Very general, very overview. That is pretty much it. The second subject that I took is general psychology, and a noteworthy project that we did is a self-analysis, and it's pretty much like you making a scrapbook for your whole life and then applying the theories of psychology when you were growing up and how family and friends and religion and culture affect your personality. Basically, you're psycho-analyzing yourself. Making that self-analysis is pretty good because it gives you a very good reflection on how your life is. And if you think about it, if this YouTube thing kicks off for me, then I think I already have the start for my autobiographical book. Anyways, the third subject is general inorganic chemistry. This is a prerequisite to multiple chemistries that you'll be taking in the future. If you're actually considering a degree in medical laboratory science, be prepared because there'd be a lot of chemistries, but don't be scared because like what I experienced here in general inorganic chemistry, my professor was super smart. She taught all the concepts really well, and a memorable experiment that we did here is acid-base titrations. It is when you drop a specific base onto a specific acid and you will neutralize the acid with the help of an indicator, so your solution will turn pink. And I also learned how to operate a Bunsen burner. Going into college, like I am really scared to open a burner or a stove, but I had to. It's part of the whole chemistry gig. You also had to balance equations and do some dilutions. You'll also study the periodic table. Chemistry, it's fun. I had a really good time. Hopefully you will too. Another subject is Communication Arts 1, and this is pretty much like high school English, subject-verb agreement and identifying which is the noun, which is the pronoun, the linking verb, the verb, adverbs, using it properly. There were a few speaking engagements where we had to deliver like speeches in front of the class, but it's not a deal breaker. But if you're really bad at public speaking, I'm pretty sure you can make it up with the written exams. Another subject is college algebra, which is pretty much a repeat of high school algebra. Math doesn't change, and clearly college algebra and high school algebra, the same. The next subject is NSTP1. NSTP1 taught me how to clean the streets and like pick up garbage, and we also did a tree planting drive, which is good because it saves Mother Earth. Your grade in this class will be mostly based on the reflection papers that you will pass. So after picking up garbage, what did you learn? Or like so after doing the tree planting program, what did you learn? Your grade will be mostly based on that and your attendance. That's how NSCP works in my university. Another subject that I took is PE1, and I thought PE is done after high school, but no, it still followed me until college. PE1, I had the option of choosing between jogging and acrobatics, and I am not flexible enough for acrobatics, that's for sure, so I'm pretty sure you know what I chose. Downside of choosing jogging is that we had to jog at 5 in the morning. To be honest with you guys, waking up at 5 in the morning, it's really hard, but I had to go through it. This class is based on attendance because they don't really gauge on how good you are. You can walk the entire marathon. As long as you have your attendance signed, then you will be assured of a really good grade. I remember like they would increase the increments every single time we attend until we reach the goal of like 5k or 10 kilometers. I don't know. Next subject is the Gospels, and if you guys don't know, Adventist University of the Philippines is actually a Christian school. We used the book by Ellen G. White, The Desire of Ages, as a reference, and in each day of the class we would just come in and then we would read the chapter and then we would write a reflection paper about it. That's pretty much it. And for Bible classes, we actually had to take 12 units. The Gospels is actually 3 units, so I had 8 more to go. So the last 2 subjects that I would be telling you guys is student convocation, and it's not really a subject. So the whole university would gather into the biggest gathering area in the university, and they would just announce events or like changes that would happen. To be honest, this is the type of class that should have just been an email, but we had to attend because the grade in this class is pretty much attendance. You would be graded with very satisfactory, fair, and poor. It just happens like once a month or like twice a month. Another class that we attended is Medical Laboratory Science Majors Forum, which is pretty much like student convocation, but this time it's just the department specific. It's another class that should have been an email, but it isn't. So just a little background on my freshman year in college. This was also the time where there was a really big typhoon, and since my school is a boarding school, so we had to live within the school, and there are some dormitories within the university where you can stay. So I was there in my dormitory, me and my brother, we shared the room. So we were there, big typhoon. This is our room, and like there's a tree beside it, and for some reason the tree was too tired to stand and it decided to lean against our dormitory, and one of the branches like pierced a hole onto our roof, and the rainwater is leaking into our room. That was one of the worst days in my freshman year. And to top it all off, this is also the night where our home dean, which is pretty much the caretaker of our dorms, decided to light up a candle, and then it burned his room. So that ended up causing like a fire alarm to be rang within the dormitory, and I remember like the room monitors would like knock on our door and be like, "There's a fire, everyone get out, there's a fire." And like it was messed up. And the moment my brother opened the door, like a thick cloud of like smoke just encompassed the room, and we had to evacuate. It was so scary. I guess this is the universe's way of saying it. College can be harder than that. Freshman year, so fun. To make the long story short, I had to switch residences on my freshman year, and I think I was just like 2 or 3 months in college, and I had no choice. I had to switch residences because that hole is not gonna be fixed in a... I would show a picture of all the classes that I took, and the first subject that I took is anatomy and physiology. And anatomy and physiology is like biological science on steroids, because we learned about the different systems in the body, the digestive system, cardiovascular system, but in depth. It was a really interesting class because my professor, who I really adore, she teaches really well, plus she bakes cakes on the side. I asked her to bake a cake for one of my friends, and it was really good. Back to anatomy and physiology. A memorable laboratory moment that we did is when we studied about bones, like real human bones, which is kind of scary and gruesome if you think about it, but it's for science. And we also had a pair of fake skeletons that we used to study, and one is named Jack and the other one is named Rose. So this is one of the few classes where I had to do a moving exam. I don't know if you guys know a moving exam. This is when you're in one station, and then if the bell rings, then you have to move to the next station. Whether you're done with the question from the previous station or not, you have to move, because that's the point of a moving exam. I remember, like, there's a bone in front of us. There'd be like, what is the bone that you're seeing? And then what is the tip of the femur called? And then they'd be like, is this the left or the right bone? And it was exhilarating. Next class that I did, organic chemistry. I got a really good grade in organic chemistry, but it was hard. I remember, like, we had two gunners in this class. Both of them would get the class like that, and everyone else is like, what's happening? I don't get it. It was hard, but after intense reading and a bunch of YouTube videos, you would get it. You just have to, like, dedicate time to study it. For my next subject, I did home skills. I learned how to manually do my laundry. I learned different kind of stitches because they taught us how to sew, and then they also taught us how to bake and cook. Just a bunch of, like, things you can learn in YouTube. So for my next course, I took communication arts 2, and the major project that I did was a term paper. In this class, it doesn't matter what your topic is as long as it has the appropriate research. I think my term paper was about sleep and sleeping patterns and how it affects the human body. It wasn't groundbreaking, that's for sure. For my next class, I had to take intro to statistics. I learned how to use a t-square, a z-square, ANOVA table, normal distributions, just a bunch of, like, math jargon. There are also some easy parts in stat, like mean median mode. At least that I know. For my next subject, we also had to do NSTP2, which is a continuation of NSTP1, cleanup drives, disaster management, all those, like, important life skills. For my next class, I had to take PE2. I had the option of choosing between folk dance and marching, and I chose folk dance because there's a crash course. What is a crash course, Matt? A crash course is condensing a semester's worth of classes into 2 weeks. Basically, on my semester break between October and November, I did not go home. I was in the university doing folk dance. Yeah, something a regular student would say. In our crash course, they taught us how the different dances work and the cultural importance it has to the indigenous people. And then at the end of the 2 weeks, we had to perform in front of a group of people. For my next class, we had Destiny of Man. We learned about the 28 fundamental beliefs of Seventh-day Adventism, and one of the major projects that we did for this class was to do Bible markings. And essentially, you have your Bible. This was my Bible during college, and it still is now. So we had to put in the 28 fundamental beliefs of Seventh-day Adventism here, and then there'd be, like, Bible verses there, and then we would highlight the supporting Bible references for each fundamental belief. So you'd see, like, some of the pages in my Bible is highlighted because of that class, and that was it. We also had to do work education 1. So you have to go to a specific department where you are interested to work, and then you are supposed to be working there for 80 hours. It's up to you on how you want to divide your time. What I did was I applied for the easiest job that I think anyone, aka me, can do. I was a teacher's aide. I moderated exams. I also checked papers, and I would just encode grades, and that's it. I think this video is getting too long. Hopefully it won't be a pain to edit. If you would like to see more of this type of content, clinical laboratory science content, then consider subscribing to my channel. Give this video a thumbs up because it would really help my channel grow. Comment down below if you have some more video content ideas that you would like me to do. Thank you for watching, everyone. Don't forget to wash your hands, and I will see you on the next one. Bye!